All right. Sorry for that long delay, everybody, but we are back with additional Scrabble. Josh Sokol and Joey Mallick again playing a best of five. We had a lengthy delay as all other divisions had their prize ceremony, including the CSW division, where we saw David Eldar sweep the best of five against Wellington. So, David Eldar, our CSW champ. But Josh and Joey now in effectively a best of three for the championship. Will Josh draw another first turn bingo? I don't believe so. ABOOLSY is his poll. Joining me again is Jared Cappel. Jared, what are you thinking out of this first turn?
I think he could do something like Boyo, leaving LAS, which is nicely balanced. He could go a bit longer, playing Boyla, trying to get to that multiplier square. Josh often likes to play a bit longer. We'll see what he does here.
Yeah, it looks like Luby coming down Looby for 28 points. And in Josh's textbook, vertical style, both Josh and a Jackson doing that all tournament. Joey now a Q and a J on his first rack, EGIJQRY. And he doesn't have an overwhelming play, but I think QI and LI, the very standard response to this. Any merit you think to playing the J off instead and retaining the Q here?
Well, if he wanted to play his own name, he could certainly play Joey, which he's now setting up on his rack. I'm more leaning the way you were, which is to play off QI. Perhaps he's just putting that there a bit as a joke, the way he lined up Hasty Bot on his rack yesterday.
I do like that hasty bot setup, and it would be fun to play your own name, but alas, QI got to be the correct play for him, and maybe he can play his name next turn instead. QI coming down for Joey, as we expect, and now Josh, a very nice pull, AEILMST, and he'll waste no time playing one of his two available doubles. He'll play Lammiest. He also has Timbales in the same spot. Do you prefer one of these plays to the other?
Well, the Q has gone, so putting the I beneath the multiplier square like Dimbali's would have might not be as dangerous as it could have been otherwise, but it would give up X bombs. So I think they both are pretty similar. The Timbali's play would have put the E more out in space. That might have been a consideration he was thinking about. But both plays I think are going to be very similar. So I like his decision to play that pretty quickly.
Yeah, both similar plays, although this one, putting the E along that triple letter score, will give Joey what appears to be an obvious play of JEU through that E, just dumping the two tiles JU for 26 points. He could also consider retaining the J for a second turn and playing GEY above Lammiest, or rejig or just jig under the LNA in Lammiest. Do you like JEU here, or would you prefer to play one of those other plays I mentioned?
I like JEU here. I like getting the U off this rack for sure. I think it's a good time to get rid of the J also. So it just seems like you said, kind of an obvious play.
Yeah. I mean, the Y and the G together, not superb, and yet I don't see any other great plays here. He could consider giving a shout out to my favorite sports team, the Toronto Blue Jays, with JAY through the A in Lamiest instead, but GEIRU. I don't think that's what you'd like to hold here on this turn. I think JEU's got to be the best play for him.
Yeah, both the leaves are sort of similar. And even though we don't have our cameras on, I am wearing a Blue Jays shirt. So we got a lot of Blue Jays love from the commentators here.
And if you like a different baseball team instead, too bad, so sad. The Jays are the best team in baseball and forever will be. I do want to mention, as Joey laments this turn, that the chat is on about a 5 minute delay for us commentators today. So we won't be able to engage with you right very much. They did that because the players may be able to hear reactions from the crowd, the live stream now being played outside of the playing room, and they want to make absolutely sure there are no tells given away. Joey electing to play GREY instead of GEY, so JIU, a little bit unstable, and yet without a good leave to hold, maybe you want to turn things over to the tile bag and see if you can draw some good stuff. So Gray, an interesting decision there. And for the second turn, Joey will hold on to the J to see if he can cash it in. As Josh now, EENORRS is his post bingo draw. No bingos, but he will have to decide how to respond here. I think a play like ROE underneath Lamius, making ERSO and TE, is a great choice for him. It really begins to shut this board down as he's up by a significant margin and holds a nice bingo prone ENRS. So it sort of sets a trap for Joey. Joey's going to need to open to get back into the game. And Josh holding great stuff to crush an opening he makes. Do you like ROE here on top or underneath Lamiest, or maybe something else, Jared?
I think if you're going to play it, I like it underneath. It just makes it a bit harder to get bingos down. And with Josh's lead, he definitely doesn't want to concede a bingo. So I think the placement underneath looks better to me. If you play it above, ROE takes an S. That's just fish eggs row. So it would give an easy lane ending in 7. Not a lane that would score that much, but there's no lane that ends in 7 unless you can sort of end it as IS next to that Q. And maybe what Joey was thinking is by leaving JI, he could hit something like Jin, but instead he drew a lot of vowels. So after Josh's turn here, we're going to have to see how Joey tries to fight back in this game.
Yeah, tough draw for Joey. IJU plus AIOT is his pull, so not super good. He could play off several of those vowels maybe from the Q, but would be holding a J again. So we'll see what he chooses to do. Josh certainly taking his time here. He has a nice play as well to score points. ROOSE through the O in Luby, making QIS, scores 26. It does open the board a bit, but it is a way for him to score significantly more points. Though ROOSE, 3 back hooks, a D, an R, and an S. So that would open the board significantly. Maybe Josh looking to score points here, but I think ROE has to be the correct move for him.
Yeah, Josh often likes to play longer and take points, but I don't think this is the sort of situation where he'll do that. Like you said, those 3 hooks really could hurt him, and that's a lane where the bingo would double, so the play would score a lot more, as opposed to when we were talking about row above Lamiest. So it looked like he was reaching to play row beneath Lamiest. We see he's still thinking about it. Definitely not an automatic turn, so you like to see him using his thought here. But if row comes down, ERNS is a very strong leave, especially if Joey has to work to open this board. Perhaps something like Ahi giving floaters. Now he's going to play it above, which surprises me.
Yeah, it indicates for sure he's got an S, clearly setting it up, but maybe you're okay giving your opponent that information with the strength of the setup. Josh also wanted to play the psychological mind game, so I could see Josh doing something like ROE, lamenting on top and moving it underneath, with or without an S on his rack. But we do know he's holding one here. I guess Josh electing to play offense and do the setup here, but me as a defensive player, I would have loved to try to keep this board good and tight.
Yeah, I think you and I play in a much similar manner. Perhaps due to our word deficit, we try and keep things a bit more closed. So, especially with that big lead, he already has quite the lead for this early in the game. I would have preferred it low, but I definitely see the value to where he played it. It sets up his own S. And Ahi does come out, and that is going to be really big for Josh. I definitely see a bingo through the A.
Yeah, this is going to give Josh a 74 pointer of engraves out of a rack that I believe otherwise wasn't going to bingo. So a big turn for Josh as he's going to take a pretty sizable leave. Engraves will put him up 214 to 91, with Joey nursing what still looks to be a junky rack.
Yeah. So far in the 3 games, we've seen the person going first really seems to have drawn better than the person going second. And it's continued in this game. Josh is taking some time here. I bet he's already seen engraves. He just wants to make sure there's no anagram, something that would hit both double squares. But I really expect to see engraves come down probably in the next minute.
Yeah. Josh will take his time. Probably also looking for 9s through the ET. Maybe considering if Vengers is a word or not. Although with that front hook, you can't play Vengers and ROES right now. I'd be very surprised if Josh misses engraves, but he'll do his diligence, take his time, and here it does come engraves. So Josh now ahead by 123 points after engraves. And Joey, AIKOTTU, not a lot of options. The E will give him the opportunity to play takeout, the S an opportunity to play out ask, and the word taiko, Taiko, also, oh, no, I'm sorry, no, it doesn't. I annotated this game wrong. But yeah, great play for Josh, and he'll take a big lead.
Well, Tycho could come down forming OE of engraves if he wanted to play it there, but it doesn't look so promising. I guess takeout starts to give him some floaters he could hope to bingo towards. None of these plays are the sort of thing that you're hoping for your best option when you're down by 122 points. So he does have takeout aligned on his rack, but it's the sort of play you might feel like you have to play, like it might be the best play, but it's not exactly one you're going to be thrilled about.
One thing to note about that play of takeout is it does have a sneaky front hook. You know what it is,
True.
Joey?
Yeah, and we've seen both these players have really strong word knowledge in the first two games, certainly stronger than my own. I did not spend the lunch break studying words like I told myself I should. Instead, I've just been enjoying watching two great players put on quite the show here in Vegas. And while Joey makes this decision, let's also mention for our viewers who weren't there for the live prize ceremony that Division 2 was won by Howard Pistol, Division 3 by Ben Greenwood, Division 4 by Jennifer DeWalsh, and CSW 2 by Sonia Adebola as Takeout now comes down.
So takeout coming down, that does set up the front hook of an S. If I'm Josh, I jokingly mutter, nice setup. As obviously it wouldn't be a setup. The S would be 54 additional points. But, you know, it's something I've got to be worried about for sure. While we talk about
Yeah,
those
he's
winners,
laughing.
yeah, while we talk about those winners, both Ben Greenwood and Jennifer DeWalshy have done a lot for Scrabble in their contributions to School Scrabble, as Ben was a director of the School Scrabble Championship when I was eligible to play about 15 years ago, and Jennifer has hosted School Scrabble Championships for the state of Texas. She is a school librarian and has access to ample resources and has run clubs herself. So awesome to see both of them win, and Howard, a good friend of mine as well. Nothing but happiness for him. So congrats to all of our winners. We'll go back to Josh's rack now. Padis, Padis, plays to the S and engraves. Good little overlap for 30 points. Aping also plays down to the P to try to tighten this board up. If you're Josh, Jared, do you like either of those plays or perhaps
I
some?
like both those plays. I think whatever he does, he has to do something to address the stakeout spot, which, based on his reaction, he seemed to clearly identify. This would still allow some words with SP, like SPED as an ending, I guess, but unclasped sort of things as the, worst case triple triple. But I think it's overall pretty safe. And TIN is a nice lead. It continues to score. And Joey has drawn a blank, so this one is far from over. I'm not seeing a bingo on this turn, but if he plays off a couple vowels, we'll certainly be in a good position going forward.
Yeah, no bingos available for Joey right now. He'll have to figure out what to do with these vowels, how many to play off, and does he consider opening the board? Game one, we saw Joey with a little bit of reluctance to open the board in a game where he was down by a similar margin. He opened it maybe just a little bit too late and wasn't quite able to catch up despite bingoing out. So I wonder if there's a lesson he's going to learn there and consider opening earlier, or if we'll see him kind of play his game slow and steady the same way we've seen before. He could play Toea, Toea, from the T and takeout. Only 12 points, but plays off 3 vowels and a good way to open up a whole quadrant of the board that may otherwise be inaccessible. He could also play OE, PO, and TAE. That would be a rather interesting play, as TAE takes just one back hook and L, and it would probably force Josh to plunk a tile to knock that line out, although Josh would be able to score about 21, 24 with that plunk. Other options, perhaps Agio through the G in gray, PIE or PEA from the P. But it looks like Joey playing OE, setting up that TAE spot. And Josh, I think, really quickly going to jump on this spot, drop either that H or more likely the W in that spot.
Yeah, that's a dangerous spot for Josh. The odd triple triple that perhaps could come with some sort of ending in spot or something like that, as well as words coming down that most right column. They would both be very dangerous for Josh. And with his lead, he can totally take a turn here just to drop a W, just to drop an H. The W scores 24 points. It's hardly such a waste of a turn, right? Joey just scored less on his last turn. I think I would have preferred Toia on the previous turn. Just open up a different section, have multiple areas that Josh is going to have to consider.
But Joey's gambit pays off as he fakes a setup on the top, though he doesn't have the L, and he'll draw a bingo now that plays. He actually has two, Achiever to the R or Vesicate on top of Engraves. Joey playing Achiever quite quickly here. Vesicate scores two more, Achiever a little bit more defensive, but Joey, even after this bingo, is going to be down over 50 points. I do wonder if Vesicate was a better option for him to keep this board open in the longer term. Not a fan of this play. I would have preferred the other bingo, but perhaps, again, as we've seen Joey do, rushing his decisions when he draws a bingo rack. What do you think, Jared?
Yeah, he sees bingo so quickly, and the V lands on the multiplier square, and then the whole play doubles. So it's very easy to look at that and go, well, this has to be the best bingo. But we can't always just look at score. And the other play does score more too, like you said. So I definitely don't like this play. Where on this board is he supposed to come back? Like, of course, you can go from the T and take out towards the triple and start to open the board that way. But and through the V of Achiever and work towards the left side of the board. But Josh will be able to respond to each opening Joey tries to make. So with Josh's comfortable lead and this X, he's in a very good position. With the X, you can see there's a big square beneath the E of Engraves. If he had a U, his play would score for 52. So when you have these situations, it becomes a question of, do you cash in the X now? Or do you play a different play? Maybe Habit would set up the X again through the A of Achiever.
Ooh.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Josh loves his setup plays better than almost everybody at finding and making them. And Habit looks like a rather pedestrian play in many situations. The extra merit of Habit is even if Joey were to make a play on top, that gives back more X bombs in many situations. So I think Josh really thinking hard about Habit. I think this is a good idea, but perhaps you want to avoid being too cute with the board this tight. I think it makes sense too to just make a play like Index through the Ian and Graves here, go back up to a 100-point lead, hold on to that H as well for the ETH spot underneath Lamiest, and just kind of coast your way to a victory here.
Yeah, I think it's sort of an embarrassment of riches, as in all of his options are really promising here. It's been a bit of an opposite situation for both Josh and Joey. Josh has had multiple different ways to address these turns, and I like both options. Habit, yeah, you could definitely score a ton with the X, but it's not about winning by a lot. It's about having the best win percentage. So he's actually going to change it up with Bathe here. If you're going to play there, I think Habit to set up that X seems a lot more logical.
Yet the difference between Habit and Bathe is 6 points, so perhaps maybe just a little bit too big a sacrifice for Josh. I do like the play of Index there a little bit more for Josh, but we can maybe hear his thoughts after the game, and we certainly to hear them after the tournament about that.
You were talking about saving the H for the F spot. Well, Joey had the H and he plays it there. Josh held on to the X, so he's now going to have options to score with the X, but he's really going to want to take out that triple triple lane.
He can do both.
4X, I guess.
4x or 4 nicks will both do it, though 4 nicks placing that x right alongside a triple word, and a U or an A would allow Joey to make a no-brainer 30-point play. Both of those plays sort of forking this board, though 4x, you'd have to bingo 2 or through that x. I think 4x or a similar play comes down here, but I wouldn't be surprised if Josh thinks about holding on to the x one more turn, maybe makes a play like Finned, Finned, or Xenon to the N, Xenon.
Yeah, Xenon's nice to keep things sort of above so the bottom of the board doesn't get opened. Although if you're going to open the bottom of the board, I feel like 4X is a pretty safe way to do it. I'm looking that Joey has drawn into angular, so he's sure hoping a lane opens up. But when you're behind lanes and you're playing against a top player like Josh, lanes don't just open. You have to be the one typically to open them. So don't think that bingo is going to come down. I think it looks like, oh, he's going to play Fornix. So he's going to go with perhaps the more aggressive one. The X there is not really much of a triple risk. And the 30-point play you were talking about, easy response, isn't that much of a concern when Josh is scoring so much on his own turn here, and he already has a big lead.
Yeah, and Joey with a big opportunity here to get this board way more open. He has Guava through the V and Achiever. That would create 3 different big spots on the board. The row all the way on the right side, bingoing down alongside the F. You can make big plays through the X, and then the Guava spot, retaining an N, would allow big opportunities for him to bingo down to that G. I love this play for Joey if he's able to spot it, but it's so tempting to grab points now with a play like NU and XU. What do you think, Jared?
I think if he plays NU, Josh plays something next to the F of Fornix, and then the board is really not looking so good for Joey. So it's very tempting when there's 2 big spots to think, well, I have to take one of them. But the sort of more advanced way of thinking is often, well, maybe I need to open up another spot and then really know that you have 2 big spots to go for. What Joey needs is a bingo. So the bingo would either have to go down next to that F, like I said, or like you said, down to the G in Guava. So it would give him a chance to hit a bingo in 2 different spots. And I think that's the mindset he needs to have in this position.
Could also consider plunking just the U behind the X, and O would allow him to draw granola, but just 1 O and 1 blank unseen. We'll pull up the unseen pool now. 29 unseen tiles for Josh, 22 in the, or for Joey rather, 22 in the bag. Guava, I think, is a play he must make here.
Yeah, he could hit Granola with that 1-0, but Josh is going to take that spot next to the F every time, unless he has something even more disastrous. So, and we can look at Josh's rack. He drew that Z. That puts him in a very comfortable position because he's going to be able to score with it like maze or something next to the F if Joey leaves that area open.
That's why it's so important for Joey to open another line here. You expect
Right.
Josh almost every instance to play alongside the F. Maybe you don't think he has the Z for a ton of points. I'm not a fan of this play by Joey, yet we've seen time and time again Joey, a very consistent player in his strategy, independent of game score. He tends to ride the equity train, and this is certainly an equity play here, but I just don't see how he wins the game after making this play.
Yeah, no, Josh should feel really happy after that one comes down. And there's a lot of unseen vowels to Josh, so I think he could even play maze with the I here, leaving LD. Perhaps there's an even better play there that I'm not seeing. What play are you looking at in this position?
You play Maze or Maize, played either as a
Right.
4 or a 5. 10 vowels, 16 consonants, and a blank unseen to Josh. Honestly, I would just play another tile if for no other reason than to give me one more shot at a blank before Joey pulls it. Take 53 points here, pull ahead by about 120 on a board that Joey has walled himself in on. It's so hard to lose after any of those options. I think Josh is going to hold on to his eye here just to give him a little bit more stability on his rack. The disaster scenario of drawing 7 consonants when Joey opens his board, what he's trying to avoid here, if I had to guess.
Yeah, that's fair. He also could have played Azide holding LM just to keep the scoring potential with that M. But really, all 3 of those plays, I think, are keeping him in a very dominant position. And the problem now with Joey is if he looks to open up through that V, well, now Josh only really has that one spot to address. And this is why I think we've said it now in 2 or 3 straight games that he's got to open this board earlier from a deficit because if you wait too long, it just gives your opponent a very easy response.
Yeah, Colby not a fan either of the way Joey failed to open this board. You hear him whining in the background as he knows Joey's chances are all but gone. I think NU was a crucial pivotal turn in this game and a crucial mistake by Joey, as well as Josh, likely to coast to a victory, especially as he's pulled that second blank now.
Yeah, I know how much this means to both of them. Josh has really dedicated his entire life to Scrabble, especially in the last couple of years. He's done so much for the game. I hope people are following him on Twitch, watching him. He does a weekly channel on this Scrabble channel here on Twitch, as does Will. Josh, I believe, does on Thursdays, Will on Tuesdays, and then Austin Shin also uh, streams on this Scrabble channel, I think once a month, if I'm not mistaken. So lots of good action. You can also check the YouTube channel. You can literally search the Scrabble Players Championship on YouTube, and I'm sure the link will come up.
Yeah. Josh, I think once a week running a stream. I think it's every Thursday night,
Yeah, it's
maybe
two
every Wednesday.
hours, and I think Josh does it in the early evening, and I think Will does it for 2 hours late afternoon, about 3 to 5. So if someone in the chat has better information than we do, please post it so that everyone else can follow. Gravel comes down, that plays
And
off
Josh,
5 tiles, leaving FA.
Josh to bingo with clouding right away. So Joey again bingo or opening at the wrong time, maybe a turn too late, and he's getting smacked. 86 points. This one is done, folks. Josh Sokol going to take a 2-1 lead over Joey Mallick in this series, and one more win will make Josh your 2023 Scrabble Players Championship winner of the TWL division.
It's getting close, and you can see both players laughing. They know this one's over. Furcated would be the bingo for Joey, but that's not going to play here. And while he considers his decision, let's mention that Jackson Smiley, who just missed out on the finals, did manage to pull into third place by 2 games. So congrats to Jackson. A few other things I wanted to point out in these standings. Emmett Brasowski gaining 317 ELO in one tournament. He was the lowest seed in Division 2, finished 4th place. What a performance. Jack Jones gained 176 ELO in Division 2. Lots of people did so well. Matty Kamen had 21 wins in Division 2, just a few spread points off from winning, and Hank Hees was only a few spread points off from winning in Division 3. So many great players. If you're intimidated by some of these weird words on this board, maybe BAITH looks unfamiliar, or Fornix, just remember, you don't have to study words. You can come out, have a great time. There will be players at your level no matter where you're at. And if you're very new, people will be very happy to teach you, give you pointers, and just come, have a great time. There's just so much to enjoy about this game and this community.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot say enough about the community that's involved in this game. I know for a while it felt like in that Division 2, nearly the entire club of Los Angeles, California was atop the standings, and I've had the pleasure of getting to play with them. That's one of the beautiful things about this game is as I take vacations, as I travel, there's almost always a Scrabble club in the city I go to. I can always kind of plan a vacation about getting to that club and meeting even more folks, the fine folks at the club in LA. Happy to host me there. I've met some great friends up here in Philadelphia this summer. Great friends in Toronto as well, as I travel up there frequently, in Montreal. There are so many awesome people who play this game, and if you like nerdy pursuits, get yourself out to one of those clubs, get yourself out to one of these tournaments, and meet some of these folks. I cannot endorse this enough.
Yeah, it's really changed a lot of our lives, and I know both these players have big followings. Josh, with his Twitch community, has really amassed quite the following. I've crashed at his place, he's crashed at mine. We've become very good friends, and I know Joey has quite the following too. I've seen so many messages for him online. I know last year Lisa Odom was telling me that she's very close with Joey, and they're always competing weekly. So lots to love in this community as Joey thinks through this end game that on the balance of probabilities won't matter, but still good practice. He has 10 minutes. Let's see if he can find the optimal sequence.
Yeah, I would not be wasting the brain power. I've got better things to be doing. I've got more games of Scrabble to be playing. And now if I'm Joey, I'm facing an uphill climb Though Joey has overcome long odds before, he had to win several games on the last day. He had to beat Jackson Smiley by 109. And what did he do? Brought down the hammer, drew all 10 power tiles, and beat him by almost 300 points. So we've seen Joey do it before. Will we see him do it again? Josh holding on to win this one in commanding style, scoring over 500 points. And we will have ourselves one or two more games in this tournament. A Josh victory next round makes him the 2023 North American champion. A Joey victory gives us an intense winner-take-all game 5. We're going to cut to over the board banter right now, see what these players have to say.
I had the blank, but I didn't have an L.
Yeah, that's nice. Very nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there was too much for them to discuss in this one. This one felt
The delayed stream, I guess, is effective.
almost a bit obvious here. A pretty big lead early. I'm really hoping for a nice, close, contested match next game. And most of all, I hope the best player wins.
Yeah, absolutely. Joey with some early valve trouble, Josh with an enormous double-double early on in this game, and, just never really felt like a contest. So hopefully game 4, some more fireworks, some more action. I'm going to watch these players and see, is Josh or are they going to sit down and play again right now?
They're going right to square the tiles, it looks like. I think Josh might take a picture first. He's been posting his boards online. Lots of players, top players, like to post their games. They explain their decision making. You can go into Cross Tables, a site created by the great Seth Lipkin, and it's a great way to learn. There are so many tools out there. I really recommend Woogles.io, and they have a link to lots of different resources that can help you improve your game. I know in the chat we've seen Strategy. That's Kenji Matsumoto. He wrote 2 of the best books you'll ever find on this game. BreakingTheGame.net, I believe, is his website. So one thing I really love about Scrabble compared to some other games is you can show up as a brand new player and you can get coached by the very best players in the entire world. Not other games are necessarily like that. So like Will Anderson will sit there and answer your questions, and he won the championship just a couple years ago. So if you're new, please don't be intimidated. Please post questions for us in the chat. Even if we can't answer it because of the tape delay, someone else will be sure to answer you. And if you live in North America, there's certainly a club or tournament scene very close to where you live. So please introduce yourself, and we hope to see you somewhere soon.
Absolutely. I would love to see more people out there playing Scrabble, whether you're watching this live with us or on a delay, or even several days, weeks, or months after this event goes on. I cannot recommend enough that you get into Scrabble. And everybody's got their own objective with this game. Some people strive to be a Josh Sokol or Joey Mallick and be the very best in the world. Others prefer to take it as a hobby challenge themselves to break a certain rating threshold, to play a certain number of bingos, or just to use it for more leisure, meet friends, meet nerds across the country, use it as an excuse to travel to different cities and spend a weekend. Tournaments are held in some incredible places, out in the mountains, over by the beach, New Orleans, you name it, there's probably a tournament there. And you can make it a destination vacation, right? Go play some Scrabble, hang around a couple of days afterwards, see some beaches, play in some casinos. I'd love to be in Las Vegas right now. Man, that'd be fun. Get yourself into some Scrabble for sure. It is a fun game and one that never stops being interesting.
Yeah, and the tournaments are often held in hotels. Lots of after-hours stuff, whether people are drinking, doing karaoke, trivia, chess, that's a big one. I've seen backgammon. I've seen lots of different things. There's just so much to love and so many great cities. I'll be in Lake George, New York in October. Hope to see you guys there. That's run by the great people of letsplayscrabble.com. You can check them out for more information too. There's just so many good organizations, so many good people who are working so hard to make this game grow. And I really hope that you will take our words to heart. As for wanting to be in Vegas now, sure, I'd love to see my friends, whereas the 115-degree weather, a bit less sure about that.
Oh, it is hotter than 115, Jared. Let's give
excuse me.
the players. It's at least 118 today. I've seen 122. That is the temperature where you stand still on asphalt and the bottom of your shoes begins to melt. So, yeah, terrible, terrible weather. Though it looks like it's quite cold in the playing room now. Josh was sporting a hoodie last round. So good old American air conditioning, way too cold,
Yeah.
overcompensating for the way too hot.
You know, people think the extreme heat weather had to do with the weather, but I think it has to do with the play of some of these top players, especially our two finalists right here, who have really put on quite the show, not just in the way they've played each turn, but in the way they've carried themselves. Really great ambassadors for this game.
Absolutely, both of them. Nothing but good sportsmanship from both of these players. We've seen Josh in the few losses he's had on stream, ever gracious, good game, shake a hand, and immediately begin a post-mortem, friendly one at that. Josh, one of the all-time good dudes in Scrabble right now, and Joey Mallick as well. Nothing but nice guy. So, it's hard not to root for both of these guys in this best-of-5 finals. But one of them in a few short hours will be emerging with the championship.